So this video is going to be specifically for how to work clue 3 of Johanna Huck's Indivisible pattern for the 2024 Mystery Crochet Along from Expression Fiber Arts, but it's going to be this. So this is the original pattern. This is working exactly as the pattern describes how to work it, with no changes to the pattern. And as you can see, it does cause a little bit of twisting in the center, from the center to the outside, that the square here is not actually square to the outside edges. And while some of that can be blocked out, it will not completely block out. So I have worked up a way that you can do it so that it ends up being completely square. There are trade-offs, and so I'm going to point those out really quick to you here. So the first trade-off is, if you look here in the center, there's no, this is actually rows 1 and 2. Okay, and you can't really see a difference. It's very flat here. Whereas if you look at rows 1 and 2 here in the original, you can see the difference where it's actually got the relief between the first row and the second row. The other trade-off is these places where you're working into the third loop to create this relief on the top of the pattern that makes those stitches stand out. They don't stand out quite as much on this version. It's a little bit less stark, that change. And so you're kind of getting the trade-off of, you get a nice square, and it will stay that way even after blocking. You get that nice, like your corners come down in that really nice X. It's very straight and centered. But you do lose a little bit of the relief. So if you want to watch the how to make the original version, the link for that is in the video description below. But we're going to make this one. Okay, again, this is the modified version of clue 3 of the Indivisible pattern by Johanna Huck. And if you want the original version without the modifications to make it more square, then click on the original instruction video that is linked in the video description below, please. All right, so we're going to begin with a magic loop, and we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to work 8 single crochets into that loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops. There we go. 8. All right, and then I'm just going to make sure that all the tops of my single crochets are facing out, and pull my loop, snug it down, and then I'm going to loosely, so making sure that this loop on my hook doesn't get too tight, I'm going to slip stitch into the beginning of the round to join. Making sure my tail is out of the way. Okay, so slip stitch. And normally you would stick a stitch marker right here. I'm actually not going to do that at the moment because I want to show you. So the main thing that we're going to do to keep the square actually square is we're going to be turning the work between rounds. Part of the problem with doing this is when I'm working, my loop's on my right and my working yarn is on my left. When I turn my work, everything ends up backwards. Okay, so you can see my loop is already on my left and my working yarn is on my right, which is going to make it more difficult to work that first stitch. So what I'm going to do is, before I even turn my work, I'm going to bring my hook underneath from the back to the front, and I'm just going to pull the working yarn through that stitch and through the loop on my hook. All right, and that is going to reposition everything. So now I've got so you can see I'm on the back of my work. All right, so I kind of flipped it around, and my tail is, I'm on the side where my tail is, but now I have my working yarn coming from the right position. And this is going to be my beginning of round. All right, so to work round 1, I'm going to do the chainless starting double crochet. So if you follow the instructions that Johanna gives in clue 1, you're going to take your hook, you're going to twist it towards your belly, towards your lap, towards your hand, your left hand, and so that's going to twist the yarn around the hook once, and then you're going to pinch the yarn and do that again, belly, lap, left hand, and that's going to wrap that yarn around the hook. It's going to create almost a second loop on the hook. You can see it's one continuous strand, but it's going to create that second loop, and then you're going to yarn over and pull under that first strand, and that's going to hold the yarn in place, and then you can go into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I don't actually make my chainless starting double crochet that way, so I'm going to show you how I make it. You please decide which way you want to make it. The reason I don't is because I always end up with this really thick, loose top of my stitch when I do that initial twist. So I don't do the first twist of the yarn. All right, so when I begin, I just pull up my loop, I pinch, I do the twist, I yarn over and I pull under that and I let go, and then into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that it feels like it makes this top loop a little snugger, and it makes that stitch just a little bit thinner, which I prefer. So please make the stitch the way that you prefer, and if it's not the way I'm doing it, don't mind me. All right, so we've done our chainless starting double crochet. We do a chain 2 and then a double crochet in that same space. Then in the next stitch, we're going to do 3 double crochets, assuming you can get into the stitch. Remember, because we turned our work, the head of each stitch is going to be slightly to the left instead of slightly to the right. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then in the next stitch, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So each time you make this chain 2, that's your corner. The stitch that you make before that belongs to this side, this previous side that you've made. The stitch that you make after that chain 2 belongs to the next side. Okay, so for this round, each side is going to have a total of 5 double crochets, the one at the beginning in the corner, and then 2, 3, 4, those 3 that we make in the one stitch, and then 5 is going to be that next beginning of the corner. Okay, so I'm going to make 3 double crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3. In the next stitch, we'll do a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, 3 double crochets in the next stitch, 1, 2, 3, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the next stitch, and then 3 double crochets in the final stitch, 1, 2, 3, and then we are going to slip stitch into that chainless starting double crochet to join the round. And remember that this loop on your hook, when you do the slip stitch, needs to be nice and loose. Don't snug it down or you won't be able to get back into that stitch later. All right. So slip stitch in the chainless starting double crochet. And then we're going to slip stitch again in the chain 2 space of the corner to end the round. So for round 1, you want a total of 5 double crochets on each side with a chain 2 space in each corner. Okay, so right now, we just finished round 1. We're on the back of the work. You can see my tail is coming out, so we're on the back. And we're going to want to turn the work again to start the round. But before we do that, again, we need to get the working yarn and the loop on the hook positioned correctly. So again, I'm going to bring my hook from behind to the front, behind the work to the front through this loop. So this first stitch at the far left edge of that chain 2 space, I'm going to bring my loop, I'm going to bring my hook from the back to the front through that loop. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through that loop and the loop on the hook. And then I'm going to turn my work. And what that's going to do is it's going to reposition the working yarn and the loop and the hook all in the right place so I can begin the next round on the right side of this first corner. That's really the only major change that's being made to make this pattern more square, is turning the work after each round and then repositioning the hook and the loop at the beginning of the round so that you can start each round at the right side of the first corner. And then you're just going to follow the pattern. So round 3, we're going to, wait, is that right? No, sorry, round 2. That first setup always gets me. All right, round 2, again, chainless starting double crochet, however you want to make it. Chain 2, and then another double crochet in that same space. And then for this round, we're going to be doing a double crochet in each space across. So we have our new double crochet here at the beginning of the round in the corner, and then a new double crochet here at the end of this, like each side. Beginning of each side and end of each side, you have a double crochet that you're adding. So you have 1 stitch added here, 1 stitch added here on each side. So for a total, we already have 5 stitches below. So we're going to have 7 stitches on each side for this round. So I've worked my first one, and then 1 into each stitch across. So let's see here. Again, because I'm working back into that slip stitch, that first stitch is going to be a little tough to figure out where it's supposed to go. Okay, so let me show you again, or actually show you this time. So oops. All right, so I did my chainless starting double crochet and then the double crochet at the end of that corner. So if we were working this normally, this first stitch would be a double crochet from the previous round. But because we turned our work, what this actually is the chainless starting double crochet from the previous round that we've slip stitched to at the end of the last round. And so we've got the head of this chainless starting double crochet is right here. And then right here, my slip stitch is going around that. Remember, I slip stitched to that. And so you're going to just want to get your stitch in that first spot in a way that's not pulling extra loops out, so that you have a space between the stitch here and the stitch above it. And I lost my yarn over. Try that one more time. All right, so double crochet in each stitch across. Remembering that the heads of our stitches are going to be slightly to the left instead of slightly to the right of the legs. And then double crochet, chain 2 in the corner, double crochet, and then double crochet in each stitch across. double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the corner, and then double crochet in each stitch across. Corner, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then a double crochet in each stitch across. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then to end the round, again, we're going to slip stitch into the chainless starting double crochet at the beginning of the round, from the beginning of the round. And again, you want to make sure that this loop that's already around the hook is not too tight when you do that slip stitch, so that you have room to work. Remember, this is the stitch you're going to be working into at the beginning of the next round. And so you want to make sure that's not too tight. And then I'm going to slip stitch in the corner again. That's as per the pattern. And then because we're going to turn our work again, we're going to bring the hook from back to front through the bottom of that first stitch, yarn over and pull through that and the loop on the hook, slip stitch there, and then turn our work again. So now we're on round 3, and we're working again on the back side of the work. So we've got our tail back here, working on the back. This round starts with a chain 3. The chain 3 counts as a half double crochet and the chain 2. So remember that when we get to the end of the round, we're going to be working a slip stitch into this chain, the second chain of this chain 2 or this chain 3, which is going to act as our final half double crochet for the round. So we do our chain 3, and then we half double crochet in the chain space. And then the first stitch, we're going to actually work 2 half double crochets into the first stitch, which is our slip stitch from that previous, from the end of that previous round. Okay, so 1, 2, and then half double crochet in each stitch until the end of each side. And then we'll do 2 half double crochets again. So half double crochet in each stitch until we get to the last stitch, and then we're going to work 2 half double crochets in that last stitch. 2, and then a half double crochet in the corner, chain 2, half double crochet. And before I finish this round, I just want to show you. So for round 3, we're working 11 half double crochets per side. So we have the half double crochet at the beginning, that's in the corner. That's 1, and then 2 in the next stitch, 2, 3, and then 1 in each stitch across, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9, and then the last stitch is 10, 11. No, sorry. Let me try that again. 1 in the corner. That's the half double crochet in the corner before you start going across the stitches that are already in this previous round. Okay, so 1, and then 2, and then in the first stitch, so 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 go in the last stitch. So 9, 10, and then 11 goes in the corner. So 11 stitches per side, or 11 half double crochets per side. So 1 goes in the corner. We already made that. So we did the half double crochet at the end of that side. The chain 2 is the actual corner. And then in the previous corner, we're doing the first half double crochet. Then we're doing 2 and 3 in this first stitch. So 2, 3, and then 1 in each stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the last stitch we do 2, so this is 9 and 10. and then 11 goes in the corner. So half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. Show you again. So we've got 1, that's at the end of the corner, right? And then 2 in the next stitch. This is 2 and 3. 1 in each stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last stitch, two half double crochets in this one, so 9 and 10. And then the final, the 11th stitch goes in the corner, chain 2, half double crochet in the corner, 2 half double crochets in the first stitch, 1, 2, 1 in each stitch. Actually, so that was 2 and 3 because the first one's in the corner, 2, 3, and then 1 in each, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 and 10 are going to go in this last stitch. And then 11 is actually this chain right here. We're going to slip stitch into the second chain. So that's going to make our last half double crochet of the round. And remember, make this loop on your hook nice and tall before you do the slip stitch so that you have room to work into that stitch when you get back. Okay, now we're going to chain into the chain space again to get to the corner. And because we're going to turn our work again, we're going to come from back to front with our hook through the beginning of that first stitch on the far left side of the corner, and then we're going to just slip stitch through there and turn our work. So now we are back on the front. And again, I just want to show you so that you're aware, because if you work the stitches this way, these first few rounds are going to be incredibly flat compared to the relief that you have of those. So there's our starting single crochets, there's our round 1, our round 2, and you can see there's a pretty stark difference in how much I want to say relief because that's what makes the most sense to me, but just like the depth, the different the edges of the stitches are really prominent at the end of each row, the tops of the stitches where they join. Whereas on here, it's very flat. There's no, so you can see here on the back, there's more relief, but on the front, there's really not. Between those two rows, those first 2 rows, you do get it here more. So this part here is showing up on the front of this piece. But just so you're aware, the trade-off for getting a square that stays square all the way out is you're not going to have as much stitch depth in those first few rows. Okay, so we are at the end of round 3, and we've turned, so now we're going to work row 4. And so because I started round 1 on the back, that is always going to put the even number rounds on the front, which is where we want them because we want to be able to work. Every time we get to a round 4, we want to be able to work in that third loop to make those stitches pitch forward. It's going to roll these stitches forward and create. So here's the one that I did. This nice lifted edge. I hope you can see that. Sorry, I know I did the light piece on the wrong one, but that lifted edge where you're working into the third loop, we want to make sure that that's on the front. And so that's why all of the even number rounds need to be on the front and the odd numbered rounds need to be on the back. So round 4, we begin with a chain 3. And then we do a half double crochet into the chain space, that same space there. And then we are going to be working in the third loop of all the stitches across, starting with 2 in the first. And because our first stitch is the last stitch of the previous round, it's going to be a little harder to find that that third loop because it's part of the slip stitch, which technically doesn't have a third loop. Okay, I mean it does, but it's underneath instead of behind like the third loop of a fuller stitch. So we've got, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit here. So normally when we work into the front of a stitch, we're working in these, you know, the 2 stitches that basically come across the top of the work, or the side edge of the work. Okay, but because we're working in the third loop, we're going to actually roll the whole fabric toward us, and we're going to find a stitch back here. Now, because we turned our work, technically the third loop is here. Okay, this is the third loop. We're having to makeshift a third loop on the back side of the work, which is going to be here. Okay, and because this is, because of where this loop sits, it's not going to be quite as lifted off the fabric as it would be if you work it the other way. Sorry, it's kind of hard to keep that in frame with it zoomed in. But we're going to be working back here into this loop here, and it will push this fabric forward a little bit. It's going to lift these up so that the first and second loop in the front lift up that way. But it won't be quite as stark. So to work in the third loop for this first stitch, because we have to make 2, we want to go in, remember the stitch heads are not to the right of the work like they are normally. They're going to be slightly to the left. So we're going to roll around to the slip stitch, the back of the slip stitch, and we're going to go in. See if it's hard to look at my work and the camera to make sure I'm staying in frame. Okay, so here's kind of the edge of our work. There's our slip stitch right here. And this is our third loop back here. So you may want to just kind of pull that looser before you try to work into it. All right. And then I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Yarn over, and then go into that loop back there. Okay. So we do 2 half double crochets in that first one. And then we're just going to half double crochet in each third loop across till the final stitch of the side, which also gets 2. And what I do is each time I'm just kind of shifting my fabric, rolling it towards me to find that back loop, which is not actually the back loop, that third loop. All right. So remember, because the stitches are to the left, you're actually going to be almost to the off of this last stitch to get that last one. And there's 2 stitches that go in there. And then half double crochet in the corner, chain 2, half double crochet in the corner. All right, so let's take a look at what we've done so far. So you can see it kind of creates this ridge here, but it's not nearly as prominent as it would be if we'd been working on the same side each round. So again, here's my piece from, this is the one that's worked the regular way. If I kind of put those side by side, I mean, it's not terribly less visible. It's just a little bit less prominent. It doesn't help they're not the same color. That'd probably help, wouldn't it? Okay. So continuing on, I've already made my half double crochet in the corner. So again, the next stitch, which is the first stitch of that side, we're going to do 2 half double crochets. And then 1 in each until we get to the end of this side. And then there's going to be 2 in that last stitch. I'm going to zoom this back out so I don't have the... So I'm less likely to go off the screen. I'm not saying I won't go off the screen, because again, it's really tough to stay. All right, last stitch gets 2 half double crochets, 1, 2, and then a half double crochet in the corner, chain 2, half double crochet in that same corner. When you look at the instructions for round 4, you should have 15 half double crochets per side. That includes this first one in the corner. So 1, 2, 3, 2 and 3 are in the first stitch, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 13 and 14 are in one stitch, and then 15 is in the corner again. So 13 and 14 are in the last stitch, and then 15 is in the corner. Okay, so I've got 1 in the corner, 2 and 3 go in the back of that first stitch, or in that third loop of the first stitch, 2, 3, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14 go in this last stitch. And then 15 goes in the corner, chain 2, 1 half double crochet in the corner. And then we're at this last side. So while I'm at it, let's talk about the upcoming rows. So this is row 4. It gets repeated 3 times. So the first time we have 15 half double crochets across, like we've been doing. When we repeat this as row 8, we're going to have 27 half double crochets across. And again, it's going to be the same pattern. Okay, so you're adding a half double crochet in this corner before you start working in the stitches that are across this side. You work 2 in the first stitch, 1 in each stitch across, and then 2 in the last stitch, and then 1 more in the corner. So you're adding 4 stitches on either side, not either side, on each side around for each repeat. 1 in the corner, 1 in the first stitch, that's added. So 1 stitch down below becomes 2 stitches above. So you work 2 stitches in the first stitch, 1 in each stitch across, 2 in the last stitch, and then 1 in the corner for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 new stitches in the round. So 27 half double crochets per side on round 8, 39 half double crochets on round 12, and 51 half double crochets on round 16. So you're always working 1 in the corner, 2 and 3 go into the first stitch, then 1 all the way across until you get to the last stitch, which for round 4 will be 13 and 14. For round 8 will be 25 and 26. For round 12 will be 37 and 38, and round 16 will be 49 and 50. And then the last stitch, the 15th or the 27th or the 39th or the 51st stitch, is the first stitch in the corner, the half double crochet that you make before the chain 2. I hope that helps. All right, so let's finish up this side. So we've already made our half double crochet at the beginning, like in that corner. So then 2 in the first stitch, 1, 2, All right. So technically that's 3 because we have the 1 in the corner, and then 2 and 3 go in the first stitch. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7, got an extra loop there. Try that again. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then in this last stitch we do, which is kind of tight, 13 and 14, or if you're on a different repeat, if you're on round 8, it would be 25 and 26. If you're on round 12, it would be 37 and 38. And if you're on round 16, it would be 49 and 50. And then the final stitch is actually this chain 3 that we're going to slip stitch into the second chain of, is going to make that final half double crochet of the round. So, and remember, this loop of the slip stitch needs to be nice and loose. So I'm actually going to, you can loosen it without undoing the stitch. Just want to kind of pull it. Okay. So just don't pull this stitch too tight after you've got this loop as long as you want it to be. And then a slip stitch in the corner. And because we're going to turn our work again, we're going to bring the hook from the back to the front, under, and I gotta find that loop for this round is a little tricky because we're doing in the back loop, it's missing. So you just want to find a loop on that far left edge of the corner, and then you want to slip stitch there and then turn your work again. All right, I did not make it all the way over to the corner. Let's try that again. That's because I did not make this slip stitch around the whole corner. Let's try that. All right, so find your corner, slip stitch into the corner, and then from back to front. Okay, so we know this guy has a third loop. He's just really hiding. Okay, slip stitch from back to front, maybe. Third time's a charm. Turn the work. And now I have my hook on the right side of this corner, and my working yarn is coming from the left. Round 5, chainless starting double crochet, however you want to make it. Chain 2, and then a double crochet. And then we are going to work round 5 back across what we just made. And so again, we've got to contend with this slip stitch area that's a little awkward to make those first stitches. So for round 5, what we're doing is double crochets and chain spaces. So we have our double crochet in the corner again, and then we're going to have a double crochet immediately next to it. And then it's just going to be chain, double crochet, chain, double crochet, chain, double, all the way across. So chain, double crochet, and that last double crochet is going to end up in this last stitch. Okay, and then you're going to have another double crochet in the corner right next to it. So begin with the double crochet, and we hope for the best to make it in that first space, which is a little awkward. Okay, chain 1, we're going to skip a stitch, and then we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yes. All right. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm skipping the correct stitch. So skip a stitch. So you chain one and skip a stitch, and then double crochet into the next stitch. So chain one, skip a stitch, double crochet into the next one. Chain one, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet. And if you did it right, you should end up with, let's do the double crochet in the corner and the chain two. If you did it right, you should end up with a total of 10 double crochets on the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 7 chain spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so we'll do that again. I did my chain 2, but I didn't do my final double crochet in that corner, so do that. And then we double crochet in the next stitch, chain, skip, double crochet, 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 chain, skip. That last double crochet should go in your last stitch of that side, and then another double crochet in the corner, chain 2, double crochet in the corner. And again, you can count, so you should have double crochets right next to each other at the corners. So you got your chain 2, you should have 2 double crochets, and then chain, chain with a skip, double crochet all the way across to the last double crochet, which should be right next to the corner again. So I'll count, and I'll show you here if you're doing a repeat. So if you're on round 5, sorry, it says row, it should be round. You have 10 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 7 chain spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's going to be the same setup with one in the corner and one right next to it on either side, either edge of the side, but more double crochets across. So for round 9, you should have 16 double crochets and 13 chain spaces. For round 13, you should have 22 double crochets and 19 chain spaces. Double crochet in the first stitch, because I already did my corner, remember? Double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So I did that first double crochet at the beginning of the side in the corner, and then the double crochet in the first stitch, chain and skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, all the way across the side until you get to the last one. Last double crochet goes in the last stitch, and then a double crochet in the corner, chain 2, double crochet in the corner, double crochet in the first stitch of that side, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, sorry, my yarn is not sliding as easily as it needs to. Chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip, double crochet, chain, skip. This final double crochet goes right up next to the beginning chainless starting double crochet. Okay, so right next door to that. And then you're just going to slip stitch to the chainless starting double crochet to join the round. And then to finish it out, you're going to slip stitch over to the chain space. And then because we're going to turn again, yarn comes from back to front under that the loop at the beginning of that first stitch on the left side of the chain 2 space. And then we're going to slip stitch through that and then turn so that everything is on the correct side of the work. I didn't do a great job of making sure that this slip stitch was nice and loose. I'm actually going to go back and undo that because that is the hardest part, is getting that slip stitch at the end of the round to be the right size to work into on the way back. Okay, so make that nice and loose. Do that slip stitch in the corner, yarn from back to front through that first loop, slip stitch there, and turn. And now we're on round 6. Round 6 also starts with a chainless starting double crochet. And then chain 2 and double crochet in the chain space again. And just like this last round where we had the 2 double crochets at the end, we're going to have that again, but then we're going to work over this first double crochet. Okay, so we're going to do a double crochet in the first stitch. But then instead of it just being a normal chain 1, skip 1, we're actually chaining 1 and skipping the double crochet. And then each double crochet goes into the chain space. Okay, so chain 1, skip the double crochet in the chain space. And you're doing this all the way across. So again, this is whether you're on round 6 or round 10 or round 14, you're going to work it the exact same way, which is the chain 2 double crochet in the corner. Okay, so we start with the chainless starting double crochet, but around the rest of them, it's going to be double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the first stitch, and then a chain over this next double crochet. And then you're always double crocheting in the chain space and skipping the double crochet with a chain on top. Okay, so round 6, we're going to have 11 double crochets on each side and 8 chain spaces. So if you look from round 5 and compare, we're only adding 1 double crochet per side and 1 chain space per side. Okay, so we go from 10 to 11 and 7 to 8. And from row 9 to row 10, we're going from 16 to 17, and row 13 chain spaces to 14 chain spaces, and 22 to 23, and 19 to 20 on rows 13 and 14. Okay, so these are your per side stitches that you need for this round, whether you're in round 6, or round 10, or round 14. Okay, so double crochet in the chain space, chain 1, skip the double crochet in the chain space, chain 1, skip the double crochet, and you're going to do this across until you get to the end where you have those 2 double crochets together. You're going to skip the first double crochet with the chain 1, skip 1. Okay, so I did the double crochet in the chain space, I chained 1, I'm skipping this double crochet, I'm working a double crochet into that double crochet, this last one at the end, and then I'm doing a double crochet in the chain space. Okay, chain 2, double crochet in the corner, double crochet in the first double crochet, chain 1, skip the second double crochet, and then you're going to work a double crochet in the chain space, chain 1, skip the double crochet in the chain space, just over and over again. All right, so I'm to the end. I've done my double crochet in that last chain space. Chained one, we're skipping this double crochet. We're doing a double crochet in that last one. And then a double crochet in the corner. So you're still going to have 2 double crochets right next to each other, just offset to the, so you have the 2 down here. You have on the beginning of the side, 2 on the right, 2 on the left at the end of the side. And then your double crochets are in the chains in between the double crochets from the round below. So again, on round 6, we're supposed to have 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 double crochets and 8 chain spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Chain 2, double crochet in the corner, double crochet in the first stitch, chain, skip, double crochet in the chain space, chain, skip, double crochet in the chain space, all the way across. So after you get to the, when you get to the end, remember you do the double crochet in the last chain space, skip the second to last double crochet, work a double crochet in the last double crochet, and then double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the corner. All right, double crochet in the first stitch, chain, skip the second, double crochet in the chain space, chain, skip, double crochet in the chain space, across, and when we get to the end, we're skipping, again, this second to last double crochet. We're working a double crochet in the last double crochet, and then we're doing a nice and loose slip stitch with that chainless starting double crochet to join the round. We're doing another slip stitch in the corner, and because we're going to turn again, bring the hook from back to front through the edge of that, the right edge of the stitch to the left of the corner, and slip stitch through that and turn. So now for row 7, again, we're working on the back of the work. And I need my next page. Okay, so for round 7, we're just doing half double crochets in this round, and we're kind of filling in all the spaces. So the first thing that we need to do is we're going to start with the chain 3, which again is going to count as our half double crochet and the chain 2 space. And then we're going to work a half double crochet into the corner space from below. Okay, from the round below. And then, so we're going to get 23 half double crochets per side for round 7, 35 for round 11, and 47 for round 15. And the way that we get those is we work, so we have the first one is always going to be in the corner before you start with the stitches in the round below. Okay, so in the corner, and then we do 2 into the first stitch, which again, because it's that slip stitch, is going to be a little tricky. 1, 2, and then 1 in each stitch and each chain space across. until you get to the final, so you've got these 2 stitches at the end. When you get to that second, so 1 in each one across until the second one from the end, and the first one from the end, the last one, gets 2 stitches again. So 2 stitches in the first, 2 stitches in the last, and then a new half double crochet in each corner. So I've done the 1 in the corner and then the 2 in the first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and then across we're just gonna half double crochet 4, chain space 5, double crochet 6, chain space 7, and the double crochet is 8. This yarn, you would think there's a bunch of friction here because it does not want to slide toward me unless I have it all out here for some reason. And I lost count. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So chain space, double crochet, in the chain space, in the double crochet, in the chain space, in the double crochet. Just doing that all the way across until you get a double crochet, right? So chain space, double crochet, chain space, double crochet, chain space. And now I have double crochet, double crochet. So the first one, it just goes in the double crochet. And that last one at the end of that side, it goes in twice. So I get 2 double crochets in that last stitch. And then 1 in the corner. Chain 2, 1 in the corner, 2 in the first stitch, 1, 2, 1 in each stitch and each chain across. So it's technically my 4th stitch, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That was my second to last double crochet. So then this last one, we do 21, 22, and then in the corner is 23. Chain 2, 1 in the corner, 2 in the first stitch, and then 1 in each stitch and each chain space across. Oops. So essentially, as long as you're keeping track of the number of stitches per side on each round, like literally work aside, count your stitches, work aside, count your stitches. I know it's a little bit more time consuming, but if you have counted your stitches from the round below and they're correct, and you know where your new stitches are going in this round, and then you're counting again to make sure you put them in the right places. You should never have you should always end up on the right stitch count. It's a little bit more time. So again, the last stitch of that side gets 2 half double crochets, and then 1 in the corner, chain 2, 1 in the corner, and I'll put the stitch counts up for each round again so you can see them. But so last time, or last side, 2 in the first stitch. So I already did them 1 in the corner at the beginning of the corner, or the beginning of the side. So the chain 2, 1 in the corner, 2 in the first stitch, 1 in each stitch, and 1 in each chain space across. Until you get to the end, and then so we go 1 in this second to last stitch, and then in the last stitch 2 half double crochets, and then we're going to slip stitch to the second chain of that chain 3, making sure that this loop is nice and tall, and then slip stitch again to the corner, and then because we need to turn, we're going to bring the yarn from back to front under that first loop and slip stitch there, and then turn. Okay, so that's round 7, where you're just doing the half double crochets around, and that puts you back to round 4, or a multiple of round 4. So you can jump back to the time stab for round 4 and just work for round 8 the same way, but you want 27 of the half double crochets. And remember that all these rounds, so whether you're round 8, round 12, or round 16, you want to make sure you're doing it in the third loop, which is closer to like the back loop, because we're turning the work. It's not going to be quite as prominent. It's going to be more like working in the back loop, but you are working in that very back. So not here, that'd be the front loop, but all the way back here, okay, working in those loops for these rounds, all right, and then you can jump to the round 5 video, which will show you how to work these 3 rounds. Oops. Then you can jump to the round 6 video, which will show you how to work these, and the round 7 video, which will show you how to work these. Once you finish, remember we end on around 16 before the final round. So you do round 4 3 times more, and so you do round 4 a total of 4 times. You do the other rounds a total of, sorry, these are not in order. The rest of the rounds you do 3 times each. So after you've worked your final round 4, you're going to work around 17. Round 17 is just a half double crochet all the way around in one in every stitch and 1 in every corner. So you're not working the corner stitches. You're not doing the chain 2 at the corners like you normally do when you get to round 17. You're just working 1 half double crochet in each corner. So you're technically adding 1 stitch in round 17. So if you look at the round 16 stitch count, you have 51 half double crochets on each side. When you get to round 17, you're going to have 52 half double crochets. So you're basically going to have 1 in the corner that's like the first one of the side. And then you're going to work all the way across the side. And then you're going to have 1 in the corner, all the way across the side, 1 in the corner, all the way across the side, 1 in the corner, all the way across the side. As opposed to all the previous rounds, which will have those chain 2s in the corners. There's not going to be chain 2s in the corners in round 17. It's just going to be a half double crochet taking that space. I hope that is helpful. Sorry for any rabbit trails, and sorry for anything that's unclear. If there's anything I can show you that I didn't show you, please don't hesitate to ask. You can either ask in the YouTube comments, or you can just post on the Mystery Crochet Along forum. I'm happy to make a video of anything that you need to see, or take pictures, or answer questions. Just let me know. Thanks.